Hi, I'm Mark Lakeman and I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm a design activist with the City Repair Project. We design and create gathering places that bring people together. We call our project City Repair, and we're very serious. We feel that the modern city is broken if it's founded on the idea that people only work for others. And so our most famous and notorious project began when people came out of their houses in one particular neighborhood. We seized the streets and we turned a street intersection into a public square illegally. Shortly after that, it was legalized for everyone to do to an unlimited number of street intersections throughout the whole city for free. The reason this happened was because the City Council made space for us to be able to present our ideas, and we said to them, look, United States of America, lowest number of outdoor gathering places of all first world nations, and the highest incidence of violence related to people not even being able to know who they live with. And on that basis, the City Council said, my God, in that case, the streets must become places for people. So we've been busy since 1996 when that happened, creating fixtures all over the city that bring people together, not only to sit, not only to sort of have a reflection of their community, but to really create it together so that it works for them as a way of practicing their power so that they're ready for bigger things.
When our United Villages decided to do this expansion with the Rebuilding Center, we really wanted to do it in a way that would give back to the community and create a space that was dedicated to the community. So we approached Mark in City Repair through Communitecture and asked them if they would help us come up with the designs. And one of the things we knew we wanted to have was a space that the community could use at any time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And so we talked to them about having a space that we called Community Gathering Space. And so Mark and his team helped us design this space, and our staff sat down and really talked about how could we create a space where it was comfortable, it wouldn't rain on them, and it would encourage people to come and sit down and communicate with each other. And that's exactly what we did here with what we call the Community Gathering Space here at the Rebuilding Center.
Well, people propose their own locations, and because we're so deeply dedicated to the principle that democracy really is founded on the idea that people are designing their own destinies, we only facilitate their local interaction. Communities, in fact, through the process of actually designing and funding and building and then maintaining and building upon their projects, they're able to actually rebuild their communities.
So one of the things that I love is when Mark Lakeman describes how important the spiral and circular design is. In nature, it's a much more organic structure. We have created 90-degree angles, which creates corners and isolations a lot more. That is our grid system that cities are built on, encourages people to not get to know each other as much. The circular shape allows things to become more organic and connective and tied in together. So by creating a circular structure in the middle of such rigid angles, it just naturally becomes more appealing to the eye, and it's something that brings us and joins us together, which is exactly the objective of City Repair, is to bring people out of their boxes and into the greater sphere.
The project locations and the project types all come from the communities themselves. And they know that we are able to accomplish things in partnership, with broad partnerships across the city, including the city government and the most grassroots communities. So they call us, they ask for help, we come to their service, we bring them together with everyone that is sort of necessary to help them, and then they accomplish their goals. By doing things physically together, they can build relationships of trust that are much more enduring than they could otherwise create. And we think we've found a secret to building community. We have to do things literally in the way of building together. My story wasn't different than most anybody else's. I started off on a career path that I thought would be satisfying and meaningful. But quickly into my career, only a couple of years in, I had a lot of responsibility, so I could sort of see what the future held for me as a designer. And at the same time, one day, I came to work and found that there was an enormous toxic waste cover-up in the building that I was working on, the big design project that I was I was helping with in this office, and it was so outrageous. It was disclosed as a joke, and the way that it happened, the fact that government inspectors were being paid to look the other way, helped me to realize that there was something deeply dysfunctional about my professional culture, my professional sort of trajectory. So I quit. I traveled for about 7 years, visiting different indigenous societies around the world. And what I was interested in seeing was how people who were sort of more truly free in their mind and their hearts actually created their own habitat, places where a village would be more multi-generational and more interactive, more characterized by participation, certainly more places for people to interact and create together. And when I came back to the city, Portland, that I'd grown up in, I could see that we were in a colonial grid for the first time. I could see the impact of zoning laws that disintegrate living from working. And for the first time I noticed that there were no village squares in the places where the villagers, us, the people, actually live. So it was no longer surprising to me that we don't know each other, we don't speak to each other, and we're characterized by such an intense phenomena of isolation. So at that point, having design skills and now having visited many different cultures where there was always the village heart, at that point it was time to finally act, and to act as an insurgent, perhaps, but really an activist designer, where I was not just intending to kind of be a democratic participant, but actually help other people to come out of their houses and to see that they could have way more in common. So that was really the magic, I think. We took a piece of the human village from elsewhere and brought it back into the circumstance where we live in order to have a restorative effect.